Hello and welcome back to Excelsior Academy. So this is another lecture on plant tissue culture and the techniques. So in this we are going to talk about the role of micronutrients in the plant development and growth. So in the previous lecture we talked about the macronutrients, right? So in that we have already discussed about the, if you remember, about the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, sulfur. So these were the macronutrients which were required for the plant development and growth. So today we are going to talk about the micronutrients. Okay. So micronutrients. So these are the elements which are required less than 0.5 millimoles per liter. So we know that about carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So these can be derived from the atmosphere. So it is not required like through the soil to provide, right? So this can be taken from the air. Now, rest 13 microelements like boron, copper, iron, manganese, zinc, cobalt, molybdenum, nickel, aluminium, iodine, ferrous, sodium, and chlorine. So today we are going to talk about few of these microelements and the deficiency caused if these elements are absent, okay, or if they are present in the less amount. So lack of these micronutrients does not support healthy and wholesome growth. ठीक है, तो इससे आपको ये पता चल जाएगा कि what kind of, so when you're carrying out your plant tissue culture, so these roles, the roles of these micronutrients also you can study. So what you can do actually, so you can also select few of the micronutrients. Like for example, you want to set up an experiment and you want to study the role of these micronutrients. So what you can do, you can take, suppose let's say that I want to study the effect of cadmium. Okay, now I know that cadmium is a heavy metal, right? So I want to study, if suppose cadmium is present in the soil, at what concentration range it is going to affect the growth of the plant, okay, or any developmental defect will be there or not. So for this, what I can do, I can set up a plant tissue culture setup where in the uh, in the tissues, what I can do is starting from 0.1 millimole per liter I can start. Okay, so maybe the 10 times concentration I can increase from here to here to here, right? And then I can place a callus of that particular, then I can see whether the callus is growing into a shoot or root, which usually happens. Okay, so I'll have a control also. So when I compare with the control, I'll see what kind of effect it is going to have. So such kind of experiment I can set up. Now guys, you need to remember this because these are the kind of question which can be asked during the interview. सो दैट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट, लाइक हम आपसे पूछ सकते हैं कि आपके पास ये कंडीशन दी गई है, आप किस तरह के एक्सपेरिमेंट में सेटअप कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, सो फ्रॉम दिस यू विल गेट एन आइडिया हाउ एग्जैक्टली इन फ्यूचर सपोज सच क्वेश्चन कम्स यू कैन एक्चुअली आंसर देम. So knowing the theory is not enough, you need to know the practicals also. Okay, now so what will happen if these micronutrients are not present? So they will exhibit the deficiency symptoms. So for example, like pigmentation, absence of vessels, presence of narrow cambial zone, cellular hypertrophy, chlorosis due to the absence of the ferrous and sulfur. So if you see that in most of the micronutrients absent, chlorosis is the main deficiency symptoms we see. Okay, so let's start with iron. So it is an important constituent of two group of protein, that is heme protein and the iron sulfur protein. And if you have studied previously, if you're clear with your mole bio and biochemistry concepts, you must remember that the iron sulfur protein plays a very important role in many of the oxidation redox reactions which are taking place inside the cell. Then heme protein also. Iron is involved in the production of chlorophyll and other proteins. Yes. Nucleic acid metabolism, it is involved. It also acts as catalyst in the nitrogen reductases, which is required for the nitrogen fixation. So you can see that even though we are talking about the enzyme which is required for nitrogen, this is actually dependent on the iron presence. Okay, so actually over here it is acting as a cofactor. Okay, so what happens if the iron is deficient? So they will show the intervenal chlorosis. You can see over here the lines are there, right? So it is becoming yellow in color, right? So the loss of green color in short is called the chlorosis. You can see that whole plants is actually becoming necrotic over here. Within the chlorosis, you can see the white eye patches you can see. So this is the example of white eye paddy over here, yellow blotch in the citrus, and then the green written in the potato. So I'm sure you must be knowing that wherever the green part of the potato is present, whenever you're cooking or your mom is cooking, you can always say, you can always tell her to that, never ever eat the green part because it is not good for the human health consumption also. Okay, and that is also happening because of the absence or the deficiency of the iron. Now going to the manganese. So manganese, it is also important part in the photosynthesis. Now, how it is important? Because if you remember in the photophosphorylation, okay, see guys, this is how you should study actually. So whenever you study one topic related to that, you should know everything which is related to your exam point of view. Okay, so like for example, I'm telling you now, manganese is there. It is involved in photophosphorylation, and in the photophosphorylation, if you have studied, you have got your PS2 and PS1 is there, right? And in that, what happens is that when this photophosphorylation is happening, there's something called water splitting is happening. Okay. Now, this water splitting is done with a complex which has got manganese present. Okay, don't worry guys, this will be covered when I start taking the biochemistry, but this is just for that you can, so that you can get an idea. So manganese, this is how it is required in photosynthesis. Okay, it plays an important role in the photophosphorylation, wherein it is helping in the water splitting. So water splitting complex is there, which is having the manganese in the center. Okay, now this entire complex is actually acting as an enzyme which helps in the water splitting, and from there itself you actually get your oxygen released during the photosynthesis, and it is not from the carbon dioxide which is taken up by the plants. It is the oxygen released from the water molecule. Okay, so we also now know that manganese, it is required for nitrogen metabolism and to form the other compounds which is required for plant metabolism. It is also important for superoxide dismutase. It takes part in ETC. This is just now I have explained now. And it acts as an enzyme activation. Now what will happen if it is deficient? So again you can see that you can see the gray speck in the oats are there. Then intervenient chlorosis again you can see. See now, don't get confused. Most of the time in whenever there is a deficiency of these micronutrients, you can always see the chlorosis as one of the main first deficiency symptoms. Okay, now moving on to the next, copper. It is required for carbohydrate and nitrogen metabolism. It is actually acting as an electron carrier in oxidation redox reaction. Utilization of iron in chlorophyll synthesis, it is helping. It also enhances the fertility of male flower. Okay, now this has been proven by taking the experimental setup. It also enhances the disease resistance in plants. So but it doesn't mean that you can increase the concentration of copper. Okay, what will happen, more increase in copper, then it will result in the toxicity. So that's why it is coming under the micronutrient, that it is required in very minimal amount. Now, chlorosis, it starts in either the whole leaf or between the veins of the new leaves. You can see over here, these are the early stages, and at the towards the different stages of the copper deficiency, you can see it starts turning the dark in color. That is why, because the leaf cells are becoming necrotic. Okay, and then it is also showing the chlorosis also. So you can see over here, within the chloritic areas of the leaf, small necrotic spots may form, especially on the leaf margins. Eventually, the leaves will lose its shine and they will start wilting. The apical merisons may become necrotic and they die. So finally, inhibiting the growth of the lateral branches. So you can see over here how exactly at different stages of copper deficiency it is going to affect the growth of the plant. Now coming to the zinc. So it's again essential component of the enzymes which is involved in the for the phytohormone synthesis. It is important for the synthesis of iron, that is indole acetic acid. It is the example of auxin, which is a plant growth hormone, essential for water uptake and helps in the protein stabilization. Okay, now deficiency, again intervenient chlorosis will be seen in the case of younger leaves, and the leaves are getting reduced in size and mainly occur in the calcareous soils. Okay, so you can see over here again the yellow coloring you can see over here, that is the chlorosis, and over here it starts losing, the size of the leaves are also becoming small. Moving on to the next, boron. So it helps in the cell wall formation. It is also important for pollination and pollen germination. It helps in the potassium ion translocation and stomatal opening. So this is already the important thing for the plants, for the transpiration as well as for the stomatal opening, right? But again, boron is also helping in this. So it is also helping in maintaining the metabolism calcium, and finally acting as regulator of potassium calcium ratio. Along with the potassium ion translocation and stomatal opening, it is helping in sugar translocation, or otherwise called phloem translocation. Okay. So if suppose the words are changed, don't just get confused. Guys, sorry if suppose the background noise is there, because I just cannot do the noise cancellation over here. Then the deficiency. So terminal buds will die, giving rise to witch's broom. Young leaves become very thick, leathery and chlorotic. Rust color cracks and corking occur on the young stems, petioles and flower stalks, and the leaves will start getting crinkled. So you can see over here how the leaves are getting actually crinkled, and this is how the rust will form on the fruits and the leaves. Coming to the molybdenum. So it is important constituent of nitrogenase enzyme, again acting as a cofactor. It helps in the nitrogen fixation in the legume plants. It is also a main component of nitrate reductase enzymes. It is concentrated in the, this is not concerted, it is concentrated in the chloroplast, which catalyzes the conversion of nitrate to nitrite and helps in the pollen formation, ion absorption and translocation of plants. So from these you can see that there are many micro elements which are actually helping each other, right? So the presence of each other is actually helping them in the absorption of the micro elements. Now what happens with the deficiencies here? You can see that there will be intervening chlorosis. This is very common, and the dead spots will be there. So for example, the whiptail in the cauliflower, yellow spot in the citrus, or the scald in the beans. Now the last one, chlorine. Again, chlorine along with your potassium, even chlorine is also essential for stomatal opening. It is also important for electrical charge balance in the physiological functions in the plants. Of course, because of the, you have got the Ka plus, Na plus going in and out, and then you should have a chloride minus also in order to balance the charge. It indirectly affects plant growth by stomatal regulation of water loss. So what will happen if there is a deficiency? You can see how the plant's leaves starts wilting and twisting over here. Okay. So again, this is just the slide which will show that the role of the element, whether it is in the vegetative structure or reproductive, and accordingly what kind of function they have, on which form they can be used, and the notes on that. For example, nitrogen, it helps in the leafy growth in the form of nitrate, it has been absorbed. Okay. If I take about the calcium, it is playing important role in the cell walls in the form of calcium carbonate, it has been taken. So similarly about the other elements also, you can go with the slide. And then finally, the last slide, which just shows the plant deficiency guide. You can see about the calcium, nitrogen, carbon. It's not the carbon dioxide, but the carbon in case. Then you have got the phosphate, iron, potassium, manganese, and magnesium. So just the overall guide over here, so that you can just see what kind of deficiency a plant can go. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for listening. There are still more topics left in order to complete the plant tissue techniques. So in future coming lectures, we will be talking about the phytohormones in detail little bit. So that will be covering, and after the phytohormones, we are going to talk about the biotransformed plants, like where using the plant biotechnology, how the plants variety have been improved. So stay tuned with Excelsior Academy for the latest lectures. Thank you, guys.